What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy 2D, or Love 2D World. Today we're gonna stay on the topic of Boruto, as you can see from my last video of why I think Boruto is top three, and we're gonna be discussing the second part of this video on basically the good and the bad timeline type thing. Or by timeline, I mean like parts. Once there's good, there must always come bad to even everything out, type of thing. So when looking in Boruto, you could basically see like it talks about Boruto eventually losing everything, and it's basically showing you the path of a ninja who has everything. And what's interesting about that is people say that Boruto is a brat and he's annoying, he doesn't show respect, none of that. But now, what I think about that is like if you look at how Naruto became, or how Naruto became who he was today, you could basically see that it's the opposite of Boruto. They're basically opposites. Naruto didn't have like his actual parents. Boruto has his actual parents. Naruto didn't have anybody by his side. Boruto has basically everyone by his side. Naruto didn't have a lot of friends. Boruto has a lot of friends. You know, Naruto basically supported himself. Boruto, he doesn't support himself. He has, like he lives with his parents type stuff, right? So when looking at the two, they're basically like, if you look at past Naruto movies where it's like different timelines and stuff like that, it shows you who Naruto could have been or how he could have turned out. But it's like, it's always the same Naruto who's humble and, likable. But if we're keeping it realistic, Baruto is a prime example of how he could have turned out when having both his parents, his dad being Hokage, and his mom being so calm, except for the fact that Kushina wasn't calm like that. But it's like a prime example of how it could have turned out, or how he could have turned out, which is one thing that I really like, the realisticness in it. So that's when I come to this topic, that the good and the bad. The good being that Baruto has everything that he's wanted, or well, that he believes that he wanted, while Naruto didn't have everything he wanted. He has everything that he wanted now, but there was a point in time where he basically wanted with what Baruto has now. And now that he has it and everything is okay, there's no war, it's straight peace. But because of this peace, there must come a bad to balance everything out. Meaning Jigen, Momoshiki, all the karmas, basically all of that. It's to balance everything out. And that's one thing I could say about Baruto, is that it does start off 100% calm. You know, people say it's not the best anime. I could agree with that, saying that along the lines of at first it wasn't, what everyone thought it would have been. But at the same time, I could say that it's now exceeding my expectations on a new level of it being, somewhat more realistic with the when good comes, bad must also come. And that's one thing I really like about it, because it stays true to the fact that everything is equal. And if you look at Naruto in the sense that his whole story is basically him trying to bring Sasuke back to the village and bring peace to the ninja world. And looking at villains in Naruto, they basically want the same thing. They want to bring peace. They want everyone to be united, but in a sense that it's total control and domination. They're in control of everything. And I can see like that's basically the main problem with Naruto villains. But in Baruto, I feel as if it's more realistic with like Momoshiki, him trying to steal the tail beast like the Akatsuki. They basically, Pain, he wanted peace in the ninja world, but it was like his motivation was basically off. But with Momoshiki and everyone else in the Baruto as Baruto villains, they were somewhat of basically pure evil, stealing chakra. They wanted to kill Naruto, take the nine tails so they could run a ninja world, but not to bring peace, but destruction. And that's the difference between Naruto and Baruto. It's two different villain mindsets we could see in Naruto, where the villain who was once a hero finds his path of redemption, except for Madara. But Madara, I guess you could say he found his certain path to redemption with the the first Hokage, and or Hashirama. He found his peace with him, because he didn't turn his back on him no matter what happened. That's one thing I could say about it. Then you look at people like Obito. With Obito, he found his path to redemption. Watching Naruto, watching Naruto through the fourth grade ninja war, he found his path to redemption, seeing that everything's gonna be fine, or not everything's gonna be fine, but on the fact that just because something happened doesn't mean it has to change your point of view on a certain thing. You could stay true to it, and that's what's the difference between Naruto villains and Baruto villains. Naruto villains are just past heroes who became broken through the havocs of war. But if you look at Baruto villains, they just evil. They want to see their point of view succeed. They want to see. They just want to survive. You know, they want to make sure that at the end they're at the top no matter what. They don't care about nobody else's life. They don't care about trying to fix anything. They just want to make sure that no matter what, they're gonna be top dog. And that's one thing you can really think about it. And that's just like another part of why Boruto is a top 3 next gen anime, because it develops more of a realistic villain. Or well, not a more of a realistic villain, but it develops more of a realistic anime villain. They don't really care about anyone else's point of views. They just want to make sure whatever happens, they're winning. And I guess you could say that's basically a more realistic villain in real life. They don't care about what happens to anybody else. They want to make sure that no matter what, they're going to be on top. That's just part 2 of why I think Boruto is a top 3 anime.
There's nothing you can do now.
The victor has been decided.